Góðan og blessaðan daginn, guys. My name is Tjörvi and today I'm going to tell you 5 tips if you're traveling to Iceland. Let's go. So I just wanted to sit down with you, take my laptop because I wrote something about every single tip that I wanted to have in front of me. I hope that's okay. Just tell you my 5 tips if you're traveling in Iceland. So I've been traveling around Iceland my whole life. Like my mom and dad, they were always taking me on camping trips when I was little, and when I got older and got my driver's license, I just really wanted to travel more around Iceland. So I've been doing that for almost 3 to 4 years. In that time, I've been like around the ring road a couple of times, to the westfjords, to the eastfjords, Snæfellsnes, the Highlands, just every single place that you possibly can be. Not literally, but almost. So the first tip that I wanted to tell you about is to go sightseeing in the summertime when the midnight sun is up. So if you didn't know, in Iceland around like May to July, we almost have 24 hours of daylight. It's the most at June, but it's a crazy lot of daylight. You know, I can't even sleep sometimes. So what I've done in the past is that I traveled in the evening and in the night, and I just slept through the day because there was already enough daylight for me. Which that gives me is like this special golden hour look that I really like. It's not like golden hour, but it's somewhat special. And also a lot less people traveling, a lot less crowds, like almost nobody. Like 99% of the time you will be alone at the night. So like the roads will be silent, the towns and the villages will be asleep. But that's a bit of a problem because if you want to like get something to eat or something, that will be closed. But if you're already packed for that in mind, then there's no worries. And one extra tip about that one is to bring a sleep mask if you use those. If you want to sleep in the day, then that will be coming pretty handy. So the next tip is to go camping in Iceland. I've stayed in a lot of hotels and hostels and guest houses and everything, and that's really nice and it has its pros, but it also has its cons. You always have to check in at some points and go out at other points, and you know, you have to schedule your day around where you're going to be in the evening. You really don't like get this experience about traveling and camping in Iceland if you're at hostels and hotels, at least in my mind. And then you're probably wondering like where to stay, but in Iceland we have campsites all over Iceland. Like it's probably like 30 minutes from every single place and there's a campsite. So you should definitely stay at those campsites because there's also electricity there often and other handy things. You are allowed to sleep wherever you want, kind of, but I don't recommend it. And what I wrote down with like camping in the wild is that camping with 3 tents or less are permitted on uncultured public land for a single night unless you see a notice to the contrary. So you are allowed if you don't see any signs, but you know, if you're a traveler, I suggest you just go into the campsites. So tip number 3 is to rent a car. If you want to like travel around Iceland, you have to rent a car. There's like, you can go to bus stations and stuff like that, but I highly suggest you to rent a car so you can just drive by yourself. But remember, there is many rules to follow, and that's like the speed limit. You should not stop at the middle of the road and just take pictures because there could be a car coming behind you or in front of you. You should always think about your own safety and other people's safety if you're driving around Iceland in a car. In Iceland we often say "Eltum bara veðrið," which basically means follow the weather, because the weather in Iceland is so unpredictable. We simply just drive towards the part of the country which has the best weather at the moment. I sometimes do this, sometimes I just go at the place I want to go even though it's bad weather, but you know, it's always better in the better weather. With the rent-a-car thing, you will have the option to personalize your trip just as you want it to be. You can experience Iceland on your own. I've never traveled around Iceland not in a car, so I think you should do that, but it's up to you. Tip number 4 is take the ring road. So Iceland has one main road that encircles the island, and that is known as Road 1 or the Ring Road. You can see a map of it over here. And by the way, this is taken from a Guide to Iceland site, which is great if you need any tips and articles and stuff if you're going to travel in Iceland. I highly recommend them. It's not sponsored at all, I'm using their info that I already knew, but I'm not that good at writing in English, so yeah. So a couple of facts. The ring road is like 1,300 kilometers, so you can't drive it in one day, or like can probably physically, but no, don't do it. You should take like a 1 week in the summertime to experience the ring road and up to 2 weeks in the wintertime. The ring road is paved all the way in Iceland. It just got that achievement recently, which is pretty funny. It wasn't always paved. So the famous attractions at the ring road are many. I'm gonna list a few of them. It's like Skógafoss, Seljalandsfoss, Dyrhólaey, Reynisfjara, Jökulsárlón, and then you can take the eastfjords and you can go from like Fáskrúðsfjörður to Seyðisfjörður, which I highly recommend. I was at the eastfjords last week and it was just amazing. Then you go to Mývatn, Goðafoss, Akureyri, actually where I live. Take the westfjords, that needs a couple of more days, but I highly recommend the westfjords. That has places like Dynjandi and Rauðisandur and all that. And then you can go to the Snæfellsnes, and then you can go to the Snæfellsnes and you can go see Kirkjufell and Búðir Blackchurch, and then you can end the trip in Reykjavík. The ring road is awesome. I've never done like a whole ring road with the eastfjords and the westfjords because that takes a lot of time. If you really want to see like everything and take the ring road and eastfjords, westfjords, Snæfellsnes, that's like 10-14 days. But if you're up to it, I highly suggest it. But as much as I love the ring roads, I love the Highlands much more because you just see raw Icelandic nature, and the Highlands is just a magical place. But the Highlands are a tricky place and I'm not really maybe recommending to go there, at least not without some guides or experienced locals. This is a really serious thing because there's a lot of people, tourists that have died in Iceland when they're going to the Highlands, like they're crossing rivers on their cars and they're not on a 4x4 vehicles, which you have to be on if you're crossing in the Highlands. But in the Highlands you can see Bláhylur, Landmannalaugar, Þórsmörk, Fjallabaksleið Nyrðri og Syðri. Like these words are hard for Icelanders, so I bet you can't pronounce them. But as I said, you can't go there without a 4x4 vehicle, like on some big tires, like the Pumba that I own, and I would highly suggest you to go with a guide. But if you decide to go by yourself, then remember to have that vehicle and learn how to cross rivers. Oftentimes there are multiple people crossing rivers, so you can just always ask like, hey, what should I do? Where should I go? Should I go left or right or something like that? A couple of things about the Highlands, like never leave any traces behind. This is like just opened in the summertime. You know, you should just always respect nature. Don't walk somewhere that you're not supposed to walk if there's like signs or something like that. But yeah, these are like 5 tips if you're traveling to Iceland. About COVID, I'm probably going to get some questions about that. I've gotten a lot of them in the past on my Instagram. I think after 1st of July, or somewhere around that time, you can come to Iceland if you are vaccinated. But I'm not that sure on COVID restrictions. Like, they are fine in Iceland, really good right now. But I have no idea how it's like to go through the borders. Thank you guys so much for watching, and subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to see more Icelandic content. Like this video, tell your friends about it and all that good stuff. Peace.